freedom of expression and freedom of speech, despite its curtailment, was vibrantly exercised by students. And the students were the frontliners of this activity. That is why I said this topic this afternoon is appropriate, because it reminds us of the value of freedom of speech and of expression. But what we are going to discuss and argue this afternoon is campus journalism. It is a freedom that you ought to exercise within the confines of your school. So the question is, how much freedom are you going to exercise? How much restraint or control should the school also exert over the students? And of course, how much control should government perform over the students inside the campus when they are now exercising campus journalism? It is within these confines that we are going to see how you are going to articulate yourselves. Because you see, the debate this afternoon is not only a debate of the intelligence, the wits, the talent of debaters. We are going to listen to you how, as students, you are looking into following how government is being managed, because here in this kind of activity you are going to wittingly, intelligently deliver and express these abuses, these irregularities of government.
Journalism, as defined in Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is the activity or job of collecting, writing, and editing news stories for newspaper, magazine, television, or radio. Conversely, campus journalism is the activity by an educational institution in collecting, writing, and editing news stories for newspaper, magazine, television, or radio. However, the definition does not stop there. Campus journalism perpetuates the idea of liberalism, and at the same time has an important role in the university and national level. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Center for Media Freedom and Responsibility, in the 28th month of the 30th presidency, from July 1, 2016 to October 28, 2018, there are 99 such cases of direct and indirect assault against journalists and news media agencies. This latest figure, 99 in all, is bigger than the 85 cases documented by CMFR in the first 22 months of the 30. But in the succeeding months, more of the more grateful cases had occurred. By that, we, the affirmative side, believe that it is necessary to regulate campus journalism. Again, it is necessary to regulate campus journalism because, first, in order to control the flow of information. Once the campus journalism is controlled by the school administrator, then we can easily find out which article we need to edit or even remove and which one to remain, right? So, but why we need to edit article instead of considering it? If we are not going to edit article and consult our article to the school authority, many flaws will not be edited or given a concern, and this will result to conflict between teachers versus student versus student, or even teachers versus teachers. As stated in Republic Act 7079, or known as the Republic Act of 1991, it has put into account the freedom of expression where one is allowed to voice out concerns for the purpose of information, entertainment, and education. But what if campus journalists corrupt information because of its freedom of expression and half-truth seems to be everywhere, especially that we are now in the 21st century? Also, as posted by J. Paul Carlos in Quezon Study, there are those who just say want to say, post they want to post, oblivious of the effect that they can have on others. Let's just think, if an instance where a journalist would write something that is offending and beyond from what it must be occur, then the purpose of producing writers expressing their thoughts in the most educated manner of campus journalism must have fulfilled its purpose, right? So campus journalism must be regulated. A second argument. It is necessary to regulate campus journalism to make it effective. We all know that every school has their own school paper, right? In fact, every school has published their school paper twice in a school year. But the biggest question is, what is the purpose of printing those material twice a year? It is just only to inform people what is happening inside the school campus, but does it aid in the progress of the community or school? Of course not, right? Therefore, we should regulate to make it effective. We should allow others to participate in campus journalism. Once campus administrator has the power to control journalism, then they can also give their opinion, suggest what to write, and they can help coping the nationwide face systematic assaults of student publication, including the following: harassment of student writers and editors, meddling with editorial policies, actual censorship of editorial content, withholding of publication funds, non-collection of publication fee, suspension and expulsion of student editors and writers, and filing of libel charges against them as stipulated in the College Editors Guild of the Philippines. Also, school head can help student journalists what to do in order to solve the problem of the community or school. I mean, school heads can introduce what is the problem in the school that needs to be solved. Therefore, my last argument. It is necessary to regulate campus journalism because we're living in the world where information is power. In other words, we are all living in the 21st century. In the world of so much information, in the internet, television, radio, and many more, students are experiencing difficulty in dealing with the right kind of information and with the right kind of content. For example, two student publication has published their article with the same topic. Different students read those article, but one day, two friends submit and talk about this article. The guy started to talk about something in the article, but the other guy did not agree with him. And did you know why? It is because they have read different information but in the same topic. But if those articles are edited and consulted the school administrator, then they would not arguing about this topic. Besides, they will share what they know. If we are not going to regulate campus journalism, then there is a possibility that today's journalism will become like Maria Angela Teresa, who was convicted of cyber libel just last June 15, 2020. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is necessary to regulate campus journalism.
Thank you. We now have the first interpretation for 5 minutes.
You said that truth can harm, right?
No, I mistaken it.
Okay. In your statement, you said that power, information is power, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, Mr. Speaker, are we going to silence truth, knowing that it is the essential of the community? Yes or no?
Pardon, Mr. Speaker.
Can you simplify your question?
Mr. Speaker, are we going to silence truth, knowing that it is the essential of the community? Like what you said, it is power.
No.
No. What if truth is the only way to improve our society and condemn the real crimes? Are you still into controlling campus journalism?
Yes, of course.
So do you mean you don't want to improve our society?
No, I don't mean that.
That would be all. Thank you.
Okay. Can I have the first negative arguing on non-necessity?
Your Honor, members of the juries, my worthy opponents, my able colleagues and members of this House, good afternoon. The proposition of this debate is to let it be resolved that campus journalism be regulated. We strongly disagree with this proposition. Campus journalism is the cradle of press freedom. According to Abraham Maslow, beyond the need for food, safety, belongingness, and self-actualization is the need to know and understand. Regulation of campus journalism is the downfall of learning. Now, I would like to tell you my 3 necessary points on why campus journalism should not be regulated. First, regulating campus journalism violates the right to freedom of expression. Second, it shows endless impunity. Third, truth is manipulated. Let me go back to my points. First, regulating campus journalism violates the right to freedom of expression is becoming a draconian merchant weapon to suppress any form of dissent and stifle dissenters. Freedom of expression is a fundamental human right enshrined in Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right is to hold opinion without interference and impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. The people shall not be deprived or abridged of the right to speak, to write, or to publish their sentiments. And the freedom of the press, as one of the great bulwarks of liberty, shall be inviolable. It is also important to note that freedom of expression, both online and offline, is a fundamental right supported by United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO's mission. However, as a responsible campus journalist, you know your limitations in accordance to standards set for responsible campus journalists. Second, it shows endless impunity. In a growing number of instances, the silencing tactic used is murder. Murder without consequences. Murder with impunity. College Editors Guild of the Philippines, represented by the current national president, Daryl Angelo Baybado, has recorded 1,273 campus press freedom violations nationwide, and this number continued to increase. Since 2010, the group noted that the alleged press freedom violations include harassment, killings of student editors and writers, meddling with editorial policies, withholding and looting of publication funds, non-mandatory collection of publication fee, administrative intervention, suspension and expulsion of student editors and writers, and filing of libel charges against campus journalists. The official student publications of the University of the Philippines, Cebu, the Tug-Ani, the White and Blue of St. Louis University in Baguio City, the Norsunian of Negros Oriental State University, have reported issues on financial restrictions and censorship. Their members reported that publication funds are withheld by the school administration and that the release of funds is delayed. College Editors Guild of the Philippines stated. Lastly, truth is manipulated because of the censorship done by the school administrators. Some examples of manipulation of truth reported in CNN Philippines Live, Culture section, updated on August 29, 2018 are: the case in Polytechnic University of the Philippines, or PUP, the catalyst, has to be necessarily consulted and approved by the administration. The Bed and Roar, the senior high school publication of San Beda University, was barred from distributing 1,700 copies of its second issue for the year 2017-2018 for allegedly being too critical and too negative. The College Editors Guild of the Philippines, or CEGP, also noted censorship and contents reported by the staff of the White and Blue of St. Louis University in Baguio City, with the Office of Student Affairs interfering in the selection of articles, and that they are prohibited from publishing written pieces concerning school and national issues. This campus incident justifies the suppression of truth. That is why it is not necessary to regulate campus journalism. Truth must be upheld. Campus journalists are no longer mere watchdogs. but vanguards of the people's struggle for truth, democracy, and justice. Member of this House, now more than ever, we are challenged by the very system to live up to our principles and our call. The right is already to choose. With clenched fists and raised hands, let us change the world. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have the interpellation.
My first question, you made mention in your speech that not regulating campus journalism with town of learning.
I didn't say that in my discussion.
You made mention in your speech that it is made to downfall of learning if you are going to regulate.
Yes.
Okay. You have also made mention in your speech that truth is manipulated if campus journalism is not regulated.
Yes.
In what way?
If regulation of campus journalism be regulated, truth is manipulated by, if, example, I am a campus journalist, and then if I will issue an article which is really critical to the administration or something, truth is manipulated because regulating campus journalism, the administration will control the written pieces and then they will just censor my article.
Last question. You have made mention in your speech that if you're not going to regulate campus journalism, it would be the suppression of truth.
Yes.
Okay, please.
Now we have the second speaker affirmative, arguing on beneficiality.
Be it resolved that campus journalism be regulated. Journalism, like democracy, is not something that is achieved. It is a work in progress, and not every day is as good as the last. It is beneficial to regulate campus journalism because of the following reasons. First, campus journalism is a training ground for future journalists. Thus, we still need mentors or trainers to hone our skill in journalism. Through the school paper, students writers will be able to develop their skills and enhance their writing craft. It is the one of the teacher's duty to develop among students writers or the sense of the responsibility, courage, nationalism, truthfulness, and other desirable journalistic value in their writings. And they got all of this through seminar workshop. According to the Republic Act number 7079 or the Campus Journalism Act of 1991, Section 8 states that the Department of Education, Culture and Sports shall sponsor periodic competitions, press conferences, and training seminar in which students, writers, and the teacher's advisor of student publications and the elementary, secondary, and tertiary levels shall participate that shall be held at the institutional, divisional, and regional levels, culminating with the holding of annual national in all school level press conferences in places of historical or cultural interest in the country. Most importantly is for the students writers to know how to use both of their hearts and minds, are refrain from writing beyond the moral standard, values and ethics, not just a campus journalism, but of a human standard as well. Second, it can assure harmony to the community if the journal content follow the guidelines or regulations stipulated in the constitutions. On the other hand, failure to follow regulations could create chaos. However, this does not mean that the reportage has no limits. Campus newspaper should these boundaries be crossed. For instance, Maria Angelita Riza, a Filipino-American journalist, an author and best known for founding Rappler, and she also CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, and she was sued a cyber libel case for having violated foreign ownership rules and committee securities fraud, because according to the Filipino law, media organization must be completely Filipino-owned. Third and the last, not all informations in the news are true or reliable. Regulating campus journalism helps the reader to grasp what could be true rather than believing right away the information flooding in the internet. News means factual information obtained from a verified credible source and which is of enough significance to warrant public attention. The more important the news item was, the more priority important it got. The writings that they do help us to understand the complex issues. In this manner, journalists helps provide the public at large with information needed for intelligent public discourse. According to the website manilastandard.net, the veracity of the news stories and other sources is very important to the traditional news media because the news reported in the newspaper are almost always considered gospel truth by the readers and audiences. On the other hand, journalists must perform research because research is important here. Without doing research, without verification, the news was found in the internet is nothing more than a meme or a rumor that when we have difficulty proving. So that it is beneficial to regulate campus journalism because through this, campus journalism will train with the help of the mentor. Next, it can assure harmony if the journal content follow the regulations, especially to our core values, the makatao, makabansa, makadiyos. Then lastly, not all informations in the news are true and reliable, so that campus journalism helps the reader to grasp what could be true. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have the interpretation.
Do you value learning?
Yes.
And how do you define learning?
Learning is from our minds that no one can get this.
Okay. You stated in your speech that regulating campus journalism will train the skills of the journalist. Am I right?
Will be trained up by their mentors.
Okay. So, you were saying that with campus journalism itself the campus journalism itself won't train and enhance the skills of the journalist?
Pardon, please?
So you were saying that with campus journalism itself, it won't train and enhance the skills of the journalist?
Yes.
Going back to my first question, which is, you stated in your speech that regulating campus journalism will train the skills of the journalist.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. So, you were saying that with campus journalism itself, it won't train and enhance the skills of the student journalist.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay. Let's proceed to my next question. Do you believe that campus journalism provides the great opportunity for skills development and aspiring professional journalists?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that campus journalism provides authentic learning?
Yes.
Yes. Now, how do you visualize campus journalism with authentic learning?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay.
You were saying that regulating campus journalism hampers learning. Is that the
My
point
question-
you're saying?
My question, Mr. Moderator, is for him, do she believe that campus journalism provides authentic learning? And she answered yes. So my follow-up question, how does she define or visualize authentic learning?
I can visualize authentic learning for the campus journalism through the helps of the teachers that they can teach for their
Question, Your Honor?
students.
Okay. No more further question, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I have my
You may now take a
speech?
seat. We now have the second speaker, negative non-beneficiality.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, dearest adjudicators, members of this House, and to my fellow Bayawanans, good afternoon. Contrary to what the affirmative side wishes to impress upon everyone this afternoon, this debate is not only about campus journalism per se, or our zealousness to protect campus journalists, but rather this is about upholding the sentiments of the whole learning community and fighting for editorial independence. The proposal to regulate campus journalism is not beneficial and will not have the desired effects for the following 3 points. First, regulated campus journalism hinders the mind of the students to develop skills as well-rounded journalists. Second, regulated campus journalism doesn't reflect the whole sentiments and the whole school community. Third and last, regulated campus journalism deprives editorial independence. Now, going back to my points. Regulated campus journalism hinders the development of student skills as well-rounded journalists because of the fear, triggering, and threatening events they experience that affect their learning. Campus journalism serves as the training ground for future journalists or writers. It is a platform to produce young, responsible citizens where it's strengthened the moral values, promote the intellectual creativity and critical thinking of the students. Through the teacher advisor, campus journalists are hoped to examine their full potential in their chosen field. But reports from CGEP, Campus President State of the Campus Press, delivered March 6 to 10, 2019, showed administrators regulating campus journalists. For instance, there are cases where editors and staff members of the student publication are under surveillance of the armed and the parliamentary forces. Aside from these, under Duterte's regime, there are now 212 cases of harassment and intimidation to campus press. This ranges from state forces visiting publication offices, online and offline threat, red tagging to detaining a campus journalist. With this incident, campus journalists are not given a favorable learning and in the environment to develop their full potential because the input was fear and intimidation. According to Edward Thorndike's law of effect principle in psychology, if the situation is followed by discomfort, the connection will become weaker and the behavior of response is not likely to occur. But if the situation followed by satisfaction, then responses will become firmly attached. This justifies that campus journalism well regulated, then student learning will weaken. Hence, the more favorable input we're able to provide the learner with respect to learning environment, activities, and style, the more engaged and motivated a child will learn. As Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizen in any society, a life free from violence and fear." End of quote. Second, regulated campus journalism doesn't reflect the whole sentiments and the whole school community. School community should and must be fed by uncontrolled or filtered information. The main objective of the school paper was to create and express school opinion, to develop right standard of conduct, and to provide an outlet for student suggestion for the betterment of the school community. But how will the school paper functions well if those objectives will be regulated? San Beda Manila Senior High School publication, The Bedinor, made headlines when its latest issue, critical of both the government and the school administration, never saw distribution. It covers featured President Duterte, a bidan alumnus sitting on an iron throne of guns, atop a heap of dead bodies, in reference to thousands of extrajudicial killings under his term. Its content included a commentary on the mandatory drug test in the light of the anti-drug campaign, a news brief of student being accepted to an international conference but having no funding to attend, and an editorial on fake news. Former editor-in-chief Lars Salamante said that the same illness that are plaguing the society also plagued the school community. The faculty was not pleased. After talk that paper would be controlled by administrators, students said they were promised autonomy again.
One more minute.
Third, regulated campus journalism deprives editorial independence. Editorial independence is the freedom of editors to do what they want, subject, of course, to the normative standards of journalism. This was according to Professor Nilo Arau, professor at the Department of Journalism, College of Mass Communication, University of the Philippines. Editorial independence is the indispensable principle governing the intellectual environment that nourishes the soul of the publication. A publication is an ideas or set of ideas created by readers and authors orchestrated to some extent by editors. For this body to function with high level of efficacy, editors must insist upon the principle of intellectual integrity.
Time's up. I'm sorry. Time's up.
Your Honor, can I extend my time, enable for me to present my whole arguments?
You will consume the 7-minute allowable.
Okay, thank you.
Now time for declaration.
Good afternoon again, especially to you, like great.
Good afternoon too.
My question is, how did you develop your learnings being independent?
Sir, okay. Can you repeat your question, Ms. Speaker?
How did you develop your learnings being independent?
You mean learning without guidance?
Yes.
Yeah. Answer that, please. Can learning happen without guidance? That's the question.
Of course, learning happened in all aspects of life. But in campus journalism, with our independency, we could be able to learn more.
But my question is, how did you develop your learnings being a free or uncontrolling student, being a student now? How did you develop that? I can proceed to the other question.
Okay, yes
Follow
please.
up.
My question first is, you make your own opinion because you're independent. You make your own opinion because you're independent.
Yes, but that independency, I know my
No, my question, you will answer yes or no.
Yes,
But you will hear the name Maria Risa.
I do.
Maria Risa was accusing cyber libel because for her being independent.
With all due respect, Ms. Speaker, your job is to question my arguments. And Maria Ressa is not related in my speech. I didn't mention it, Maria Ressa.
I know that you're not mentioned Maria Risa, but I can say that for instance.
You're giving a statement. You're giving.
Okay, I'll proceed with the other question.
Ms. Speaker, your task is to ask question,
I
not
think that's my
to.
job now. That's my job.
Okay.
You're my turn. Not your job.
Yes, that's my job also.
Remaining time for 7 seconds.
You mentioned in your speech that there are harassment among journalists, right?
Yes. Yes.
Are you saying that a campus journalism can create chaos?
No, I'm not saying that one.
I think you were saying that unregulated campus journalism could create chaos. All right? Please answer the question. Yes or no?
Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
4 seconds. 2, 1. Time is up. Thank you. We now have the third speaker. affirmative. Arguing on practicability.
In the Negros State University, the Norsonian is the official school paper. It contains the events, the news, and other necessary information written by students themselves. But did you know that in the late 1990s, there is also another version of Norsonian, published by a private person, and it tells exactly the opposite stories and negative stories of what is featured in the official Norsonian. While the Norsonian is featuring an eagle in the headed part, the other Norsonian featured an Maya bird and contains all the negative. That was very unfortunate that time. But all of a sudden, it was gone because the university controlled the damage. Ladies and gentlemen, Board of Judges, this is the classic example when students can even publish a decent school paper. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we the affirmative side saying that it is practicable to control campus journalism. Here are the some reasons. First, we can start with the parents. Charity begins from home, and the parents can inculcate values in their children right from the very young age, and later be developed in school. Parents also play a crucial role in the realization of school paper. If the parents refuse to let their children be trained, campus journalists could not do anything about it. However, if the school strictly implements or regulates the publication of the school paper, school admins can somehow enlighten the parents' thoughts about the said activity. Then maybe they would permit their children to be trained or to attend journalism-related activities. Second, we can employ the use of community organizations. In developing a country like Philippines, scholastic and commercial journalism has been greater and nobler significance. The sources of new journalistics of the future, the young journalist whose news deals with club activities. School elections and campus activities will eventually become a better one whose news deal with activities of the nation. National elections and national concerns, the developmental of campus paper doesn't only have implications of the writer himself, but also in the school as a whole. School administrators and staff may reflect the performance on the school paper and see what improvements must be done. Loyalty to a community is the inevitable price of acceptance, and free is creating sharp conflicts with alliance to the truth. Through community journalism, attitudes about necessary to maintain community values and fortify the status quo reinforcement. Lastly, we can create better and wholesome activities for students, and including workshops on responsible journalism as capability interventions and programs to enhance learning about journalism. The seminar workshop offers skills training in essential journalism techniques, including campus paper, productions, and collaborative desktop publishing, and practical ways to use visual journalism, editorial cartooning, and photojournalism to improve reporting and storytelling. As student journalists are trained, we can easily control campus journalism. By controlling campus journalism, we can make Bio1 become popular and attract new writers, new journalists to develop as future responsible agent of change. By controlling campus journalism in a very constructive way, we can also make Bio1 as the capital city of campus journalism in the country. Thank you. See, it can be done. That's all.
Thank you. We now have the chance for declaration by the negative.
You mentioned earlier in your speech that we can start with the parents, right?
Yes.
You said that parents should teach their daughter or son campus journalism.
No.
Then what are you saying about the parents?
Parents can help to control their children and they can invoke values to their children. That's why they can help to control campus journalism.
How?
By invoking a value to their children can apply it in campus journalism.
Are your parents journalists?
Not but they know the values. But they
Okay, do your parents teach you math?
Yes,
Yes? About algebra and other stuff about maths?
math is not just all.
I'm talking about how could the
Can you
parents...
please allow her to finish
Okay.
her answer? You may answer properly.
Repeat your question.
Did your parents teach you about math and other stuff like science and other subjects?
Yes,
Okay. I'm talking about how could the parents teach or control the students? What is the procedures to be done?
first they can teach values to their children. If their children do not values, that subject is not.
I mean, that the question is more on a concrete example on how parents affect, responsible journalism. Can you give an example?
Yes. Kindly, please.
Something that happens in your house, maybe?
An incident?
Yes, just example. When their children needs help.
I'm talking about journalism.
Yes, some students need help to their parents about journalism.
Okay, give me example. Sorry.
You may now move to the next question.
Okay. How do you define loyalty?
Is that found in the speech?
Yes.
Okay.
Loyalty is one of the values of one person. It talks about the honesty and it talks about the values of one person.
If honesty is loyalty, then why do you bother regulating campus journalism if it will block the truth?
Some campus journalism is not all about.
Some. It's only some. It's not all. And okay, I proceed to my next question. How can we train campus journalism? Can you visualize what are the trainings?
Yes, we can visualize the campus journalism by training the campus journalists. For example, we can involve training in our school for our campus journalists to become a better in the future campus journalist.
Is training...
One more minute. You may now take your seat, please, speaker. You're gonna have the last constructive speech by the negative, non-practicability.
Mr. and Madam Adjudicators, members of this House, my able colleagues, good day. As the proposition declares, let it be resolved that campus journalism should be regulated, we in the negative side strongly disagree with the proposition. Before I will go to my points, let me define practicability. Oxford English Dictionary defines practicability as the capability of being done. In relation to our motion, regulating campus journalism can never be done. Now, allow me to enumerate my 3 salient points. First, regulated campus journalism paralyzes student publications. Second, regulated campus journalism doesn't provide favorable change for the whole learning community. Third, information superhighway is inevitable. Now, let me elaborate more about my points. First, regulating campus journalism affects the funding body of the organization, which paralyzes the student publication. Regulated campus journalism has a great impact to the levels of collections necessary for campus paper production, wherein there will be no enough funds to support this program. For instance, the provision of free tuition law of the tertiary education of state universities and colleges and the DepEd Order Number 19, Series of 2008, implementation of no collection policy in the basic education affect the press operations as reported in CEGP. However, as stipulated in DO19, series of 2008, released by the Department of Education dated March 19, 2008, number 4, the school publication fee shall not be at the school levels, but shall not be more than 60 per elementary pupil and 90 per secondary school student. The publication of a school newspaper, while not mandatory, it is strongly encouraged, particularly in the secondary level in line with the campus journalism program. It is clearly stipulated in the aforementioned DepEd order that it is voluntary in nature, but as a part of the major stakeholders, parents are encouraged to support the campus journalism program for any institution. Second, regulated campus journalism doesn't provide favorable change for the whole learning community because there is a negligence of students' interests and concerns. For 13 decades, campus journalism became the venue of information dissemination and outlet of expressing students' views on current issues in education, in institution they belong. However, in many instances, campus journalists failed prompt justice on the grievances because administrations failed to look at their students in respective manner. For example, the Variation, school paper of the Philippine High School of Arts, reported a fire extinguisher leak in one of the school's buses while students are on board. Fortunately, no student got hurt. We were told to remove it because it reflected poorly of the school. Maura Yap, the former editor-in-chief, said it in an interview of CNN Philippines Live. Culture column updated on August 29, 2018. Various schools' paper of UT Diliman were also slammed for activism amid protests on inefficient systems in school. Campus journalism became puppets of the school's hand. Governing campus journalism is so corrupted. This incident doesn't show the progress of the school's community. It brings the thought that campus journalism should not be regulated. Third and lastly, information superhighway is the telecommunications infrastructure or system as of television, telephony, or computer networks used for widespread and usually rapid technology. It is unbearable to govern campus journalism. According to www.blogs.edwic.org, a worldwide representative survey released in 2015 by Pearson found that 53% of 4th and 5th graders, 66% of middle schoolers, and 82% of high school students regularly use a smartphone. This shows how advanced students are. In fact, 94% of students are using their phones to collect data, reports, and news. How ironic it is if the school will regulate campus journalism, but every student have sources of information. To support that, a nationally research entitled Forecast of Smartphone Users in the Philippines from www.statista.com said that as of 2019, there were approximately 74 million smartphone users, mostly teens and adolescents, generally students, in the Philippines, and it has continued to rise since 2015. Furthermore, the article Mass Media Consumption Rates from Philippines from www.wordpress.com showed that in Wave 5 of 2008, there are 3.4 hours of people watching television for news and others. There are people consuming 1.3 hours of going online or using gadgets and there are 1.6 hours of people listening to radios and a whole 9.8 hours consumption. The abundance of sources is unstoppable. Regulating campus journalism can't be done if everyone has access on digital campus news nowadays. Mass media is simultaneously growing and continuously spreading. Thus, regulating campus journalism is absurd. Campus journalism should not be controlled by others, neither the school administrators nor the government. Therefore, regulating campus journalism can never be done. Thank you, and once again, good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have the last interpellation of the day by the affirmative?
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
you made mention in your speech that regulating campus journalism can paralyze campus publication, right?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because it affects the funding body. I said that in my speech earlier. Did you not listen?
I listen.
Oh, okay.
Just maintain courtesy.
Sorry.
You made mention governing campus journalism would corrupt information. Why?
I didn't mention that. I didn't remember to mention that statement.
You said earlier that not regulating campus journalism has big impact to community organization.
Yes.
So, how would you state that?
Because it also affects the students of their interests and concerns and the examples and the variation. Yeah. Yes, of course that.
You said that campus journalism has effects to our community organization. But you said that it has a big impact. Why can't you say it has a big
Sorry, I didn't
Can you
understand.
please simplify
Pardon?
your question, Speaker? We now, you may not take your seats. We now have a breaker.
Honorable adjudicators, members of this House, debaters, folks of Bayawan City, good afternoon. We are gathered here today for us to prove and for you to realize that campus journalism should not be regulated. Campus journalism, it is the voice, the power of the youth, the catalyst for social change. It shares public opinions and it enlightens us with the truth. As stated by Honorable Judge Climaco earlier, and I quote, "The proposition this afternoon reminds us the value of the freedom and speech and discussion, how President Marcos killed freedom by implementing martial law. And in our case, it's like saying campus journalism be regulated kills freedom. The freedom of speech, the freedom to express. Gentlemen of the jury, folks of Bayawan City, let me polish the opposing side's fallacies. The first speaker of the opposing side mentioned the meaning of journalism. That if we regulate campus journalism, it can control the flow of the information, the editing, and the conflict. To enlighten up Mr. Speaker, of the affirmative side, to write is to choose. While second speaker of the affirmative side, upon intercalating this House's second speaker, Miss Beneficiality, you oversimplified and misinterpreted Miss Beneficiality of the negative side's argument, and that is, Miss Speaker, you have violated the straw man fallacy. People in the four corners of this room, kindly lend your ears, for I am about to give the reason why we should not implement campus journalism. Campus journalism isn't about writing, and writing. It's also about writing what's new and writing what's true. Campus journalism not being regulated doesn't mean not being educated about the do's and don'ts. It's called independency, being independent. It's learning beyond what teachers, mentors gives. Campus journalism should not be regulated. It's like breathing in water while swimming in mountains. To go back to Honorable Judge Climaco, President Marcos killed freedom by implementing martial law. Now come to think of it, what did they felt? How did they react? Did they just agree to kill freedom? Who doesn't want freedom? Anyone in this house? Who wants not to be free? See? Each one of us has our ways to express. And in campus journalism, to write is to express. To write is to choose. We are not dogs to be caged. We have the right to express, to write what's in our heart. To learn is to love. To love is to learn. Ladies and gentlemen, we, on the negative side, strenuously disagree. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you. Now we have the rebuttal of the affirmative.
To the panel of judges, to my co-debaters, to our moderators, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am the rebuttal speaker from the affirmative side. Well, we accept that today's style, lifestyle, fashion, and something among us millennials are into distortion. Less harmony, more beautiful. Less organized, more adventurous. But this is not the way of journalism. Journalism should be the purest art of writing and expressing oneself in the context of campus journalism. But it's never too late. It's never too late to go back to its original intention. Our first speaker spoke to you about it is beneficial to regulate campus journalism for the flow of information. Oh, I'm sorry, it is necessary rather to regulate campus journalism for the flow of information will be in control. There are fake news or disinformations spreading the internet, like this article. This article, ladies and gentlemen, it's a fake news that Robredo belies claims she distributed spoiled food in a Quezon City hospital. When some of us here in Bayan City read this piece of article, and one from Dumaguete City also read this same article but different source of information that make it legit, how do we determine where is the fake and the real one? If this kind of disinformation, misinformation are published, the social news distribution system dependent on peer-to-peer sharing frequently sends the content viral, making it impossible to go back even if journalists and other fact-checkers successfully debunked. Our second speaker tried to tell you that campus journalism is being regulated. It will definitely create peace and ravishing image of journalism. Why? Because journalists in it are following regulations from the campus, networks, or any radio broadcasting company. In this case, there will be liable cases like her. I'm sorry for the picture. Do you know her? She is Maria Angelita Reza, a Filipino-American journalist and author, best known for co-founding Rappler as its chief executive officer. Last February 13, 2019, she was arrested for cyber libel due to accusations that Rappler published a false news story concerning businessman Wilfredo King. Our third speaker also says it can't be done to regulate campus journalism. Through this, we can create better and wholesome activities for students journalists and including workshops, responsible journalism as capability interventions and programs to enhance the learning about journalism. A workshop can introduce a new concept, spurring participants to investigate it further on their own, or can demonstrate and encourage the practice of actual methods. It's a great way to teach hand-on skills because it offers participants a chance to try out new methods and fail in a safe situation. Based on the Republic Act number 7079, or referred to as the Campus Journalism Act of 1991, Section 8 states that the Department of Education, Culture and Sport shall sponsor periodic competitions, press conferences and training seminars rather, in which students, editors or writers, and teachers, advisors, or student publications in elementary, secondary, and tertiary levels shall participate. And according to Phil Collins, in learning you will teach, and in teaching you will learn. While the other side, the speakers from the negative side says, truth will be manipulated when the campus journalism be regulated. That was wrong, Miss Speaker. Because controlling campus journalism doesn't mean that the issues published was manipulated. It was just edited and reviewed an article. I'm sorry? The article was just edited and reviewed, whereas article will be published and whereas one will be remain. It is also for the safety of the image of the organization. Then the second one will be it will affect the funding of the school organizations. Well, Miss Speaker, a regulated campus journalism doesn't get any 1 peso coin in the pocket of your school. Then the last speaker says it deprives editorial independence. Being independent, or we cannot be in journalism without the mentors or teachers. That's why we need them. Then, journalism is like an apple. Beautiful when journalists abide rules and when campus journalism is being regulated. But if we get to bite this, and many other bites after that, it's like journalism without control. The beauty in it will surely lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Officially, the debate has ended.